Hi, this is your host, Jeff Ragavin, and you're listening to Marketing Mix, where we hear from some of the most influential CMOs of today to discuss the strategies of tomorrow. Welcome to Marketing Mix. Joining me today is Sandra Campos, CEO at DVF. Sandra, always a pleasure. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. So happy to be here with you.
So Sandra, you've had a pretty amazing career in the fashion and retail space for literally the last 20 plus years. And congratulations. I think you've been at Diane von Furstenberg for a year now.
That's right. I just passed my 1-year anniversary.
Amazing. Let's open it up with the brand. So Diane von Furstenberg was obviously founded quite a while ago, back in the 70s. And you guys have really been famous for your signature staple wrap dress, right? So what's the key to maintaining a heritage brand in an industry that's so much driven by trends?
Well, what we've been doing, the past year, I came into the business to turn the business around again. Diane, over the last 8 years, had made decisions to go in different directions with prior creative directors and leadership. And what we wanted to do was bring this brand back to where she started and what she started and who she is, what she's about, and what the core values of the brand are, which essentially for 45 years, she has been empowering women and inspiring confidence. And as she says all the time, it's about helping women be the woman that they want to be. And women that have been successful, aspired to be successful, are the customers that have come to Diane to wear that wrap dress when they go on their first interview, or they got their first job and they go and celebrate with buying a wrap dress and they feel really confident in that wrap dress. And when she talks about that wrap dress has made her who she is, Diane, it's because, as she says, it allowed her and afforded her the ability to be independent because she sold so many of them and she created something that hadn't existed. So she had a very unique position in the marketplace, back in the 70s when she actually launched this, now 45 years ago. And now what we've done over time, the brand expanded obviously into more of a lifestyle brand for women everywhere. And it's a global brand. She's globally recognized. And over the past year, what we've been doing is trying to take a brand that was very focused on a traditional wholesale type of mentality, selling to retail stores. And at the end of the day, what we are a brand that has retail stores. We have our own e-com site. We have franchise partners around the globe that operate stores with Diane von Furstenberg on the outside of them. So those are our D2C focuses. And we have a little bit of wholesale still, of course, but we definitely are more direct to consumer. So we've been shifting over the past year how we look at everything that we do, from a process to the organization, the team, the structure, the product that we create, and have been and the messaging in particular, and are being very focused on who she is, who our customer is. And it's not about the age as much as it is about the attitude. And when you asked about how do we keep things going, when fashion is about trends, right? So many things evolve, but no one asks Hermes if they're on trend for the month or the season. And that's the same thing with Diane von Furstenberg. We have never been a brand that has been about trend. We will never be the flavor of the month, but we are that absolutely tried and true heritage brand that has great quality product for a woman that works, that whether she's working as a philanthropist, she's working as a CEO, she's working in a job in banking and law or in consumer products, she wants to be appropriate, and we offer her that appropriate product. It's also a brand that is a go-to brand for social occasions. So I hear all the time from customers, I have a date tomorrow night. I need something to wear. I just got promoted. I need a new wardrobe. I just came back from maternity leave and I need a new wardrobe. So there's definite needs that the customer comes into. We are the go-to because they know that they can get quality, great price point product that's accessible, but still feels luxury.
You mentioned, the company basically started in 1971. So 45 years, long time for a brand, and way, 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 long in existence before social had even started, right? So how does a luxury fashion brand like DVF actually adapt and evolve in this completely new world of digital and the entire landscape that has shifted?
Well, I will say if Diane were on this, she would tell you herself. She was the first influencer. As she says, I was an influencer before there were influencers. And it's true.
I could hear her saying it right now.
Absolutely.
An influencer. Yeah, exactly.
And she was, and she continues to be an influencer and an influence to women everywhere. So when I actually started meeting with Diane about taking this role and coming into the company, I was very surprised at how innovative she is and how on top of culture she is and how relevant she continues to be herself. So it wasn't antiquated or archaic in thinking at all. She wants to keep moving the business forward. She is very alert and very aware, not only from the investments that she and her family make, but also from the exposure and the people. She's been the chairman of the CFDA and the exposure to all the different designers and seeing and hearing change and being so involved in the New York fashion community. She's been very much aware of where we needed to go. So that was never a question or a challenge for us to be able to really focus and direct ourselves more socially. She's actually continued to push us to be even more and more entertainment focused. So as a company, what we're trying to do is really be very true to that core message, very true to those values, and be authentic in everything we do. And so we're trying to shift from where it's been very traditionally sales oriented in our messaging, where we want to sell you something, to really being about, we're including you in our community. It doesn't matter as much in terms of if you're buying the product, as much as it matters that we're helping you be the woman that you want to be through the knowledge that we're sharing, through the community activations that we're helping you be a part of, through the messaging and the quotes and the inspirational quotes that we're sharing and that we're messaging out to you. So we're focusing on the authenticity first of building a community, and that then everything else will come.
As we're talking about community, and we're talking about even Diane being the first influencer, when it comes to that type of industry, let's just say influencer marketing in particular, fashion bloggers, they're really the influencers that are being leveraged the most. And I'd say in that category. Are you guys tapping into any type of influencer strategy or people that are representing you as the community members themselves?
Well, we've gone from doing what everybody else does in terms of paying bloggers and paying for placement, but we've gone from that, where again, it was trying to keep up with everybody else, to really identifying, okay, who is part of our community? Diane has impacted so many different women, and I see them come in, and whether it's well documented that Jennifer Hyman really appreciates Diane and Diane's influence for her starting Rent the Runway, to Whitney Hurd in terms of Bumble, and so many others that really compliment Diane as being the one person who helped form their view of how they were going to start their company and becoming an entrepreneur and having enough strength and confidence to do so. So what we're doing instead now is not specifically looking at bloggers per se, the ones that are out there, representing many different brands, but we're trying to identify, okay, we're bringing in people who are becoming part of our community for different reasons. So Elisa Sednawi is an example of somebody who Diane used many years ago, and she's an Egyptian model, and she was somebody who was a part of the brand, and she's still very actively involved with Diane as a friend and as a cohort. We just saw her a week ago in LA. She came to our TVF event. So she's part of the family in a way. We have Jamie Mizrahi, who is a stylist and influencer in LA, who is somebody who worked with me before as well, but she's now working with us and helping us from a creative and a product standpoint. We have Diane really was the first person that helped jumpstart Carly Kloss and so many other, Kendall Jenner, et cetera, and she's friends with Kris Jenner. So we're really just kind of bringing it more about a family and who is part of the DVF family that really believes in the brand, that believes in the mission, that believes that what we're doing and what we're talking about and how we're trying to help so many other women, as opposed to trying to say who are the people that the consumers care about and how are we going to pay them to wear our product. We want this to be much more about who's in our DVF family. And we have International Women's Day that we had one day this year, as everybody has, but it really became International Women's Month, and it's becoming International Women's Year. And we're focusing on those women who come in here who are so empowering, so inspiring, and who leave here wanting to help this brand, wanting to be a part of it. And that's the community, that's the family that we're trying to represent.
So I think one quick question that just kind of popped up in my head, and my background in particular of what I'm doing now is really kind of tapping into the world of micro creators or micro influence. But when I think of big time luxury and fashion, you see these kind of large celebrities, and you just mentioned, the Jenners and whatnot. People look to them to see what they're wearing and, what is an important trend to them. Do you think that, macro influencers like that, the big celebrities, are more important in that specific industry?
I think less and less, to be honest with you. I think less and less. I think that for us, even in particular, as we are looking to localize our marketing and localize our communities within all of our different regions where we operate, and we operate stores in Paris and London, in Atlanta, in Miami, in LA, in New York, et cetera. As we look to activate our own communities, we are more focused on exactly what you're doing now, which is finding those local influencers. There's local influential women everywhere, right? There's these entrepreneurs and these are inspiring women and women who are making change everywhere. And that's what we're trying to make sure that we're also looking at, and that we're bringing those women into our communities, that we're allowing those women we're giving them a platform to help them also present what their businesses are, present their philanthropies and organizations. We're giving them exposure in our stores through events. And we do this all the time every week in New York. We're doing this throughout now the rest of our stores, to where we're bringing in more local type of charities and local organizations and having local speaking panels. So what you're doing is actually right on in terms of where we also want to be, is focusing on the local individuals who are they impressed by celebrities? Of course. Are they looking at that? Sure. But I don't think that that's dictating what they're wearing.
One thing that I just wanted to make a note of, obviously, DVF bringing you on board from a turnaround perspective was an amazing addition. And I'm not just saying that, but I think you've had a pretty impressive record, especially in that area for many brands that you've worked on, right? So you essentially help make, Juicy Couture cool again. And I think a lot of brands, even brands like Fila now, have been trying to make comebacks and using almost like their vintageness to their advantage. Do you see, maybe as you've seen a lot of brands turn around and you've been part of some of these major strategies, is there, I don't know, is the trend kind of saturated right now for rebranding, or any tips if somebody's thinking about rebranding that you can give kind of as a general rule of thumb?
Well, to your point, I mean, I have been around a lot of brands and been responsible for brands that are in turnaround or startup phases. And a lot of those brands have been names, and they haven't had a founder behind it or an actual person. I really believe that people now want to make sure that they are associated with a brand that has a purpose and is mission oriented. I think we all believe that, but it really needs to have an individual, an emotion around it, because it is saturated. The industry is saturated. No one needs any more clothes. No one needs any other product. There's so much everywhere of everything. But what you want is, you want to be connected to something for a reason that makes you feel good about yourself and feel good about what you're doing. And if Diane von Furstenberg were starting her business today, it would be a purpose-driven, mission-oriented brand. That's what it would be. It's less about how much we're selling and how much product of DVF is out there, and more about what are we doing to help women. She wants to leave a legacy. This is her legacy. Her legacy is to help women be the best women they can be. And that's what she's working every single day at 72 years of age, getting up and working and traveling and speaking and helping, so that we can actually promote that message and get that out there more broadly. So I think that, in terms of your question of what are those tips for others, everyone has to really dig deep into what are they there for? What are they existing for? What's their point of differentiation? And if it's purpose-driven, mission-oriented, it has to be emotional as well.
So, talking about consumers being really selective in what brands they associate themselves with, I'd say the last year, there's been a lot of luxury fashion brands that have gotten some, I'd say, bad press, for inappropriate or offensive brand messaging. And I know this, was the case with Prada and Burberry and Gucci and a number of others. How do these brands that are so well crafted, how are they making mistakes like this?
Well, I certainly couldn't tell you from the inside of any of those, but I do think that companies get on autopilot, and you're just churning out content, and you're just churning out what you need to, based on deadlines and based on initiatives from certain people. And at the end of the day, we all have to remember and focus on the consumer and put ourselves in those consumer shoes, and know that customer's journey, know what she's doing, know, or she or he, where he's going, where she's going, what she's looking to do. And putting ourselves in the customer's shoes will hopefully never be wrong and never fail us. And I love one of Les Wexner's quotes, which was, the answers are in the stores. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really true. The answer's in the store. So you just go and you find your consumer and you listen and you pay attention and you see their life and you make sure that you're addressing it.
So let's shift a little bit to, and I think this is super important for you guys in particular, brick and mortar versus online. Does everything have to be digital and online is the question, really, and how much are you guys really concentrating on the traditional methods of driving people to store versus driving people to e-commerce and whatnot?
Well, very good question, because I think they're both equally important. And what we were just talking about, localizing our stores and our marketing efforts around our stores, we're focusing our stores differently in clienteling and absolutely pushing on customer service, clienteling our VIPs, what we're calling our VIP EIPs, those really extremely important persons, to take that moniker from Net-a-Porter, and the very important people that are part of our DVF loyalists. We are focusing on clienteling there. And then from an e-com standpoint, online standpoint, we do have to do everything the same. And we are trying to create this omni-channel, which I know is an overused word now, but it shouldn't be any different when somebody comes onto our website and what they see and hear from us and get from us, and the access and the ease, let's say, in the effortless way that they can shop with us. It should be the same in the store, and it should be the same when they see us on social media. We're not there yet. We have a long way to go. We're working on it every day. But each of our teams, when we look at the stores and how we actually, there's women that go into the store and spend their time away from their families, away from their jobs, spending their free time coming our stores. We want to value them and we want to help them, again, be the woman they want to be, feel confident in what they're doing, whether it's for their weekend wedding that they're attending or the board meeting that they have to present at. We're really focused on making sure that we're clienteling and servicing that customer. From an e-com standpoint online, we're actually starting to integrate some tools that will help us do the same thing, to where me personally, I don't go into stores anymore because I don't have the time. And when I'm either traveling, I'm getting home late, I have my children, I need to go home and make sure that they're fed. And during the weekends, I'm trying to relax, if I'm not working, or I'm trying to, do something else that has my personal life satisfied. So I'm not out there shopping in stores as much. And so I think we have to also remember that there are many people who just don't have that time as well. And so we need to give them access online where we can make it very easy. So we're doing various things. Like in London, we're working with a service that actually has come from, it's called Toshi. It's a woman that was one of the initial team members at Net-a-Porter who founded this company. And in the local London area, what they're doing is if somebody's online shopping, they can have that product delivered within a couple of hours. But in addition to that, they're going to our store and they're picking up accessories or other like product that they think that customer is going to want. And they're going to deliver it to their office. They're going to deliver it to their home. And instead of what you bought online and what you were looking at online, you're also going to say, well, how about this turtleneck to go with that pant or that skirt that you bought? And here's these shoes that we think would work well. And so it's a little bit more direct servicing and direct marketing in that way, but it's more of a service that we're trying to do. And so that's one way that we're working between online and in-store to help customers make it more easy for them and more convenient. And then we're adding a tool called Hero that's going to help our customers when they're online, if they need support and need help sizing, complementing certain products together, what they need outfitting, et cetera. That app or that part of the tool rather that will be online, which is something being integrated now, it will connect to our store employees and our sales stylists, and they'll be able to speak, chat, text, send photos, send videos to the customer that's shopping online. So those are different ways that we're also trying to customize and make it very cohesive between our store and our e-com experience.
Fashion brands are really starting to implement so many advances around technology, especially thinking about how to improve that shopping experience online, right? So you've got things like precise sizing calculators and virtual changing rooms and all these assistants. What are you guys thinking about when it comes to, technology for DVF? And also, how are you thinking about technology in the fashion industry space overall?
We are focused on three things overall as a company. We're focused on, I call it retain, regain, and convert. And retaining the current customer that we have. We know who she is. We are addressing her needs. We want her to shop more often. We have a VIP, X amount of people who are in our top tier of VIP clients who come back 9 times a year, and we're servicing her. When we have regaining customers that have been lapsed customers over time, whether it's lapsed online, lapsed in store, through all the different changes creatively that have taken place for the company, we want to make sure that they see that DVF is back, our prints are back, the ease and effortlessness of the product is back, the wardrobing aspect is there, the social pieces are there. So we're wanting to regain that customer. And then the third is converting. And so converting new customers, we're doing that obviously through acquisition strategies via digital media buys, and then also through our messaging and how we're creating content, where we're doing and what we're putting that out with whom. We're doing a lot of things on social, but we also, Diane now has a YouTube partnership as well. So we have a lot of videos and content that's going on YouTube. And so we're focusing on those 3 areas to make sure that everything that we do aligns back to retaining our customer that we have, regaining the lapsed customer that knows and has known of DVF, and converting a new one that may not have known about the brand or may not have grown up with Diane and is growing up in a different way. And just another piece, which I think you may or may not have seen, but we just launched TVF, which is Talita von Furstenberg, Diane's granddaughter. This is a family business. And as I said before, Diane is really looking at her legacy. It's a heritage brand. Talita has always been very interested in the business since she was 9 years old, even younger. And when she was 9 and creating drawings, TVF for DVF, which is what she wrote, we then created that for her now at age 20, where we launched that a week ago. It's been wildly successful. We were able to get a new, younger demographic, and she stands for all the same things Diane stands for, but a new generation, and helping this new generation also feel confident, be inspired, and creating something new again for the long-lasting Diane von Furstenberg brand.
So great. I want to just switch over to a couple of questions about you before we break, along the lines of fashion and shopping. Curious, for you, like, what was the best and worst purchase you've ever made?
The best purchase I make ever is shoes because I don't change shoes that often. I like to actually keep the same shoes, especially where I work in my office. In our office here, we have these beautiful staircases that are the center of the building, but they're steep, and they're covered by Swarovski crystals on the side, so they're quite beautiful and spectacular here. But in any case, so I have to wear the same shoes that are comfortable. I also am a mom. I need some things that are very easy to run around in. So shoes are absolutely the best purchase. When I find a brand and a shoe and designer that fits, I keep wearing them over and over again.
I do the same thing with shirts.
You do?
I buy the same shirt and I wear a different shirt every day, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, I do. I love that. The worst purchase I've ever made is anything in yellow.
Ooh.
Does not work with my skin tone.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very true, right? We all have certain colors that just don't work with us. Okay. And then, one other quick question, what was the most interesting thing that you've read in the last week?
Oh, I read so many different things. I don't read books as much as I read articles. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. My daughter, my oldest is actually a freshman in college. She's at Pomona College in California. And we've been talking a lot about women and women in business, and obviously what I'm doing and what she's working on, what she's focused on immigration reform, and she's really focused on politics. But what she actually introduced me to, which I hadn't known about, is the glass escalator effect. And it essentially is where women over so many years have had to compete for that one seat at the table. And so therefore, males rise faster in women-dominated fields, fashion would be one of them, because women participate in their own stalling of their success. Women look at men and internalize all the stereotypes they've grown up with, think that that boy looks like my son or reminds me of my nephew, et cetera, so he should get the job over this woman. And there's more I need to read and dig a little bit further, but she sent me something about that. I hadn't known about it. I hadn't heard about it. That was quite interesting. And what she's talking about, what they're learning and talking about and discussing in college at her level is now this generation is focused on having more seats at the table. so that they don't have to compete. Women don't have to compete with each other to get that one seat. It's how do we get more seats? We deserve more seats at the table instead of fighting for one.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure with you.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Marketing Mix. We hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Be sure to share and subscribe. Until next time, take care.